Cleveland. But you know what? It's okay. I'm going to take it. It's supposed to be, what, March? And time went up an hour. So that makes a big difference. I had to get my sleeping schedule somewhat together. How about you, Larry?
Actually, I did pretty good.
Did you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I woke up at around. Hadn't set my clock, and I was actually up at 3,
Okay.
but it was really 4.
Okay.
And I had to talk with God, did a little studying, got my sermon ready for the day, and
Right.
before I knew it, I was like, oh, that's right. It was 5 o'clock, and I was like, oh, it's 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
But my other clock was showing 4 o'clock.
Right,
So I thought I
right.
could go back and lay down, but I saw no, it was time for me to go. So
Right.
yeah, it went good. As a matter of fact, everybody showed up for church on time.
Well, that's
So
a
that's a
good
good one.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
because most people, they're used to, what was it? So we went up an hour.
Right, right.
So that means we get a little darker in the morning and a little lighter in the evening.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're getting ready to go to the summer.
Right.
Yeah, so
the
it's
longer days.
longer days.
Longer days,
Yes,
right,
okay.
right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Well, that'll work.
Yeah, so I'm excited about what this spring and this summer has to bring. What about you?
Me, I am so excited about it, because I'm now officially a new homeowner.
Yeah.
And just so excited about all this yard, and getting things prepared and, the grass and laying everything out, barbecue grill and all of
Oh,
that
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just excited. This is going to be fun for me.
Yeah, the old barbecue grill.
Oh, yes. And, online shopping, how I'm going to do the patio. They've got
Right.
some nice sales. And, I find right now it's a good time to actually, if you want to go looking for outdoor stuff, your
Right.
yard, patio, furniture, and things, a lot of places have last year's stuff out, and it's less than what the newer items are. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
hey,
on sale.
well, look who's in the studio.
Well, welcome.
Hey.
What's going on, Sir John? How you doing, man?
Oh, life.
Life. We were just talking about since time
Life and-
moved forward.
Honest.
How did that have an effect on you?
I don't pay much to time, as is obvious.
Right, as we see, but we're thankful.
I have to be reminded.
Okay.
So not really much of a effect. Just been dealing with my partner. She's not feeling well. Thank
Yeah.
God we got found a new doctor. So
Okay,
we'll be seeing him next Friday.
that'll be good. Well, Lois,
Things
we
go
we
on.
keeping our prayers out there for you, because everybody's kind of like dealing with a little something here.
Hey, not everybody.
Not everybody,
Everybody.
just a few.
Just a few folks.
Just a few folks. 'Cause,
Just a few folks.
Yeah.
Just a few folks.
And we're gonna claim healing on that. So,
Yes.
everybody be just in divine order and
Hey,
strong and healthy.
That's right. We're claiming
Absolutely.
healing on your back right now.
Yes.
And we're claiming healing on Lois as well.
Yes.
And anyone else there that's listening, you are whole, you are healed.
And you are complete.
Yes, in Jesus' name.
In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right. So we were doing hot topics in the news. And
Oh, no.
yes, I
Oh,
want to
no.
talk about some issues. I was listening to the news the other evening, and they were just a little quick flash. They were talking about banning Michael Jackson's music.
What?
All the radios.
Yes, the radio stations want to shut down and not play his
Because
music
of that,
anymore.
That have HBO, what they call a
Yeah.
dramography. I
Mm-hmm.
won't even call it a biography.
some old stuff that they're gonna be showing again. Probably.
Well,
I think
they
it's
already
today.
did.
Oh, they showed it already.
Yeah, and it didn't get as much acclaim as they thought it would get. It didn't get that many watchers as they thought it would get.
And you know what
So-
else? I heard that his music, it went up. The sales in his records went up again.
Yeah,
Yeah. People were buying his music. Same thing with R. Kelly.
Right.
yeah.
R. Kelly.
I mean, you don't want to say you condone, child molestation on any form or any level.
right.
With Michael Jackson, I guess you could, not even a guess, there was really not really proven, so we don't know.
Right.
R. Kelly, There's video.
Well, you know what?
But at the same time, I hear his point. You know, a lot of these people or these young ladies were, you know, their parents were, but that doesn't, all sides were wrong.
Right. It doesn't give it the okay.
No.
You know, it doesn't make it right.
He could have walked away. He could have
Yeah.
found out or digged more.
Right. You know, he's older than they are, and that's where good judgment comes in.
Yeah.
And not letting the flesh control the mind.
Exactly.
You know, because not only R. Kelly, but so many of us, we get caught up in that flesh, and it has a way of taking over and blinding your thinking, you know?
Yeah.
And you make wrong decisions.
And you know, he was abused himself, so I think he's trapped in a little cycle that he has never been able to get out of.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
Yeah. And, you know, because they were saying his growing up, and, you know, I
His
find
growing up was horrible.
the guy had a really rough life. And so, therefore,
It was
you know,
tragic.
people who go through tragedies when they're growing up or any time in their life, everybody doesn't have that way of
Handling that
seeking-
trauma.
and seeking help.
Yeah.
You know, someone to talk to or getting seeing a psychiatrist, going through steps of helping them deal with those issues.
Yeah.
You know,
Because you
so-
could think he went from there, being homeless, to being super rich. Almost it happened really, really fast.
I missed it. I didn't get to see the interview with him and Gail. Did
You know-
Did you watch it?
I mean, I watched some of it, but I mean, it's just him saying pretty much, I am not the only one at fault. Their parents were also involved with this. They, in fact, brought them to me, you know. And the one, he even tried to get, you know, but they kept on following him, kept on at it, you know. So, you know, and then he started paying these people. Then at one point he stopped paying, and then that's when everything
Blowed up.
blew up. I mean, he does also have a lot of child support.
Yeah.
So he can't be paying your bride and child support at the same time. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's no excuse for that.
There's
you know.
no excuse.
No
I mean,
excuse
so
for that.
that's what they got him on now for back child support.
Yeah,
if
well,
you
yeah,
think
they-
about it,
uh-huh.
it's almost the same amount he was parenting that one girl's parents.
Wow.
Well, you know that I also saw today or yesterday, or I think this morning, R. Kelly actually has paid the back child support and was released today
Yeah.
from jail. But see, one of the things I find interesting is that when a person gets some money, how people come out and they will try anything
Anything.
to get some of what you've
You
been
got.
given.
Yeah.
Anything.
Anything.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened to him, to be honest with you. And it started, in fact, with Aaliyah's mother.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, but because she knew his history,
Right.
the mother did. She knew, you know, and she was a follower, and she knew, and she knew if she put her just the right place, kept on putting her in his face, getting to behind the back door, you know, boom, it will all click, and it did.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, they have to take responsibility.
But he
and
has to take
ownership.
responsibility as well
Yes.
as, you know, but again, when you have that trauma and the cycle you're stuck in, and
It's going to be
the whole
interesting to
song.
see how this
He should have got
all-
help a long time ago.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how all of this plays out for him, because I really think that the system may take him and use him as an example.
I think he'll try, but now there's like these last two are adults,
Okay.
and that's what they're running into.
If nothing else, they'll eat up all the money and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, attorney fees and things like that. When they finish with him, he'll be broke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Maybe, maybe not.
And
maybe,
then-
maybe not. It
I-
could be like
something
50
else
cents.
said- they said
He
couldn't
has a lot
read
of
or
fans
write.
who've been paying for his.
Well, you know what? You know what I think.
So.
Let me give you my
Okay.
my take on this right quick. Now here's how I'm looking at this. It seems as though every time he needs bail money or whatever,
A fan comes up with it.
but it takes 2 to 3 days
Mm-hmm.
for him to get it. I'm thinking offshore accounts.
Of course.
Okay.
Offshore accounts. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
His money's hidden.
Yeah.
Of course.
And he has a few people who know how to access that money,
Yeah.
Right.
and it just doesn't just get immediately deposited into an account.
Right.
Because every time, because his address
Uh-huh.
is Trump Tower.
Yeah.
Did you know that? I mean,
No,
yeah,
no.
that's where he lives. He lives in the Chicago Trump Tower.
Okay.
So the brother ain't believe me. Trump ain't gonna let you live there for free.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so he
Right.
paying his rent.
Right.
All right.
Right.
So I'm thinking that people are trying to extract that money out of them. They know they got it. That's why the judge said, hey, because he went to the courthouse for the hearing for his child support, and he had $50,000-$60,000 with him.
Okay.
And they're like, no, we want it all.
Right.
And 3 days later, he came up with the rest of it. So he has money, but it's the way he can only access his money.
Right.
Right.
He just can't
Go
Go
and get
and
it
get
go
it.
because if he could, then the courts would have attached it.
already.
And exactly.
Right.
So he has the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. And I mean, he has probably, like you said, offshore accounts,
Right.
a good accountant,
Exactly.
Well, you never-
protocols in place.
Yeah, because every time.
And you have to have those when you are super rich because you might get kidnapped and you might things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Right.
Can't have it all in one
Exactly.
place, and then being a person of his stature, and then
Everything.
also they were saying that he couldn't read. They said he didn't know how to read or write. So
'Cause-
someone else is actually in charge
Right.
of his well-being.
Right.
Okay,
In charge of making sure things are right. That doesn't mean he doesn't know what's going on.
right? Yeah, but he's
'Cause you got,
he's trusting someone to
The boxer,
be able to.
what's his name? Mayweather. He can't read. They sure know how to make contracts.
Right.
Somebody's there making those contracts with him because the same thing with.
He knows exactly what he wants in that
Right.
contract. He know, that one guy who was dealing with him said he knew he couldn't read, but he knew every single thing in the contract, for word, a 30-page contract.
Wow, that's knowing your business.
That's handling your business.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's the way it's supposed to be because so many of our entertainers have been taken advantage of.
Yeah.
I know Frank McComb was talking about the industry when he came into town last week to perform for one of our events, and he was talking about the music industry and nothing is never yours. And everybody's got a piece of the pie, and only a portion of it is you. And then even that portion is not, you're still not even getting your portion, So it's better for you to go in and learn everything, all the ins and outs, so that way you can be control of everything that you do. And he is now, he's worked with different record labels and everything, but now he's the boss.
Right.
He has control of his master.
He
I
has
think that,
control over
Ray Charles,
everything that he
of
does.
every musician I ever, I think he was probably the best of controlling his career.
Ray Charles?
Ray Charles.
Okay.
Because right off the bat, he had control, and he always made sure that his contract said he had control of his masters. He had control over the music, not the studio. He had control over it. And so the studio, in a sense, leased his music to sell it. And that way, he got always the profit.
And that's another thing. Michael Jackson, he has the masters.
Yeah, he learned that from Ray Charles.
Yeah, he has a lot of masters to a lot of different music,
A lot of different people.
a lot of different people music as well. Oh, sorry about that. A lot of different people's music, and they want that,
He was smart enough to go buy it up. I mean,
Yeah. So that's really, learning that business, and not even any business, that if you're going to be in the business, it's good for you to educate yourself
Yeah.
Right.
about the business. You may not necessarily have to do the job, but know. So that way, if you have to go behind, you know what's going on.
Yeah, you definitely want to surround yourself with
A good team.
You want to surround a good team.
Yeah.
And that's what is very, very important. I just was watching some things about the lottery today.
Okay.
I was reading some things. And they give you like these pointers. Like when you get a lot of money, the first thing you do, don't tell nobody.
Right.
Okay, keep your mouth shut.
Yes.
Don't tell nobody.
Yeah.
Then the next thing you do is, take your winning lottery ticket and put it in a plastic bag and don't cash it right away. Put it in a safe deposit box or someplace safe, and then go see a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And then set up a blind trust.
A trust lawyer.
A blind trust for distribution and all of that. And then you get you before you spend any money, then you get you a good tax accountant. A good accountant. Then you let your attorney go and handle
The proceedings.
The proceedings to get your millions of dollars. And from there, after that, you can go and tell your family and your friends and things like that, because everything is in place.
Okay.
And then you can say, you know what, I can't give it to you.
Yeah.
But it's in a blind trust. My attorneys will distribute it out to you, and everything is business. And then the final thing they say, just move away.
Yeah. Okay. Just get out of Dodge.
Yeah, just get out of Dodge and say, and don't tell them anything until after
You've handled all of
you
that.
handled all your business and you moved away.
That is so smart.
Yes, it's very smart.
And it keeps a lot of drama
Yes.
out because, people have one large amounts of money and don't have any of it. It's gone. They went through it so fast, and everybody's wants something, and it's amazing. And like you said, people target you. I remember I was working at National City, and one of my customers was telling me about a lady that lived in their neighborhood who would fraudulently have her kids just run out, or she would run out in front of a car so they could get hit, so they could sue. I mean, this
No
is crazy. But this is what they were doing.
It's old school grift.
Yeah,
Old school con.
Stuff like that.
They purposely get hurt on your property so they can sue you.
Yes.
Oh, and another thing is said, pay off if you owe anybody any money, any debt, pay them off quick.
Yeah.
Because before you know it, you got all kind of lawsuits coming out of the woodwork. And that's sort of what's happening with these actors and these singers and these Michael Jacksons and these Me Too movements and all that. People is just trying to sue you
For
and
every nickel.
nickel and dime above and beyond what you may owe them.
That is so
Or what
crazy.
they feel they're owed.
That is so crazy.
Little tips, guys.
Yeah, that was a great tip because I didn't even know that the lottery, well, I'm quite sure they probably do, but first time I ever hear, someone to say this is what the lottery tells you to do.
Well, this is what,
No, these are one of the tips.
One of the tips.
These are the tips.
But that's
So what
an
to do.
excellent tip.
They're like the person who just won the $1 billion something part.
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
They took forever to do it because they were doing this.
Right.
Okay.
And that's why they finally came out. It wasn't that they didn't come out. They did it the right way. They got the blind, set up the blind trust. When they got a good accountant, they then had the lawyer deal with the lottery people, and they moved away.
Exactly. And one of the things
Out of South Carolina.
Right. And you know one of the things they said do too? Don't get your cousin or your favorite lawyer. You go to one of the top law firms in the country, in your city.
Yeah.
And have them do it.
That deal with billions of dollars.
The top
and
trust.
have them do it.
Yeah,
Right.
the top trust
Yeah.
lawyers.
Because you can still get some crookedness going on in there, okay? Crooks, I tell you, everywhere, and everybody's out to try to get a piece of your pie.
That's right.
All right, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't give up, right? But like he said, the lawyer you say, hey, you got to talk to the lawyer, and distribution will be coming out in a timely fashion.
Can I say, speaking of lotteries and stuff like that, I had this weird, and I won't say weird, I had this dream.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
How we've been talking, lately the word reparations has been floating
around, especially in the Democratic presidential candidates.
Reparations. And hey, believe me, something's going to happen. But wouldn't it be awesome that
We all get 40 acres and a mule?
that people would begin, who this country owes, will begin to get paid through the lottery system.
Through the lottery system?
Yes.
through the lottery system. Because
I
I
don't know
read
that.
something where, they take advantage of poor people. It's really the poor people who really put a lot of money.
Into the lottery.
Into the
Yeah,
lottery.
they pay their last.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
I mean,
spend their last.
Because
It's the numbers.
It's the numbers. Right. And so the states play upon that.
Yeah.
The states play upon that. And wouldn't it be something if they go and everybody start winning? Wouldn't that be something?
That would be
would be
something.
amazing.
I'm putting it out there in the universe. I'm putting it out there in the universe.
That would be
that's
something.
yeah, that would be amazing because they're handling so much of this money.
Well, they use it like in the state of Ohio. They're supposed to use it for schools, but it's actually the law, the way it's written, it's a general fund. So it funds a lot of things.
Well, I would like to see exactly
And then they
what
pay
it
you
really
back. They
funds.
pay it back like they do Social Security. It's like Congress use Social Security as a general fund.
Okay.
Then they pay it back, which is an IOU. But sometimes they don't pay it back, and that's when they start screaming there's not enough money because they didn't pay it back.
Well, something I saw this morning on the news in Arkansas, and a young lady by the name of Stephanie Flowers, the mother, she threw a fit about the gun right debate, standing ground, and having an open carry rights there. And, they can actually walk around with their guns on
Can't do
them.
that here.
Well, it's so much, it's more visible there, is what she was saying.
More people are doing it.
Yeah,
Right.
it's like the Wild Wild West there.
But
And
Ohio's
she
open carry.
she's very fearful for the kids, people in the community itself. And they were saying that also more people have died because of that gun law. Like over 250%. Crime has happened behind that, and very little has been done because
Well, it's
of
not a
that law.
crime because it's a law that says you have the right, and if you feel threatened, to stand your ground, you can shoot the individual. So it's not a crime.
Well, it's really
It just
a big
means
thing
shootings
there.
have gone up.
Well, it's a big thing in Arkansas.
Right.
I mean, it's a big thing in California and a lot of the West. But in Ohio, we have open carry. Just in northeastern Ohio, well, Cleveland specifically has another law, which the state, and they're still fighting over that. But you can do that in Cleveland as well.
Well, I guess the main
Or
concern is
Akron.
that you have these hidden prejudices still going on in a lot of areas and states.
Yeah.
That it has an effect, and just having something like that available just entices more crime.
Or more things to happen.
Yes.
I mean, it can be used right. It can be used wrong. In Florida, there are several cases with, was it the young man, was that Trayvon Martin? No.
No, not in Florida. You mean the guy?
Trayvon Martin was here.
Yeah. You're talking about when the guy shot him at the gas station?
The guy who shot him at this gas station. Before that, the young boy who was walking
the
home.
young
and
boy and-
Zimmerman shot him. The
Okay,
guy
yeah, Zimmerman. Yeah,
Zimmerman,
yeah.
yeah.
Right.
And but nobody talks about this lady who also used to stand the ground on her boyfriend who was beating her, broke into her house and she shot him. But see, then they put her in prison for murder.
Wow.
So it depends, and she was black. So it depends on the jury, I think, how you see it.
Crime is very interesting how it is being handled, and
So it's not a
and
crime.
how
It's-
and
it depends
just
on your
certain
jury
crimes,
appeals.
and when you sit back and you watch all these crime shows on television, it's amazing how they immediately go and solve the crime. It would be really wonderful if crimes could be solved like that. Each crime gets an attention.
That is
versus- Huh?
That is too.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? That's a good point you bring out. Because just like anybody else, like when you're at work and you don't really feel like doing something.
Same thing with a detective or a police officer.
Exactly. If you're not willing to put in the extra hours to solve the crime while it's hot, then it becomes cold. But if you take the extra time out, you know, just the other day there was a fire across the street. The police automatically assumed that it was an arson. They came over here immediately. They asked about, hey, let's see your cameras. How far does your cameras reach? I mean, they're working to see if they can find the individual who set this fire on the second floor of this apartment building across the way on the Chester side of the street.
Okay.
Okay, so that tells me that, okay, if they're aggressively, while it's hot, trying to figure it out, they eventually gonna catch that person.
Right.
Because the guy and the police, they were literally going to every building that had cameras.
Okay.
And in this corridor, there's tons of buildings that have cameras.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
And they're going to figure something out.
Yeah.
And track
Somebody's
that.
gonna
They're
be
going
something.
they're going to figure something out.
Yeah. 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 So, and I was just thinking about that because I get into watching the different crime shows. My favorite one is Blue Bloods, and what I like about the Blue Blood show is it's still like a spiritual based show. A family, the family is all into the police force, but when they come back and sit at the table, you know, God plays a major part in what they do and their everyday struggles in dealing with crime. You know, so I really like that show. You know,
Right.
because you know, and we have our good cops and we have our bad. You know, but we still have to still be respectful
Right.
for our laws that are being made. You know, so when you talk about going back to
Stand your ground.
standing your ground,
That's a law.
you know, yeah, it's
I think people just got to realize that now there's people with guns, some of them, and I think a lot of times people, and that's not everyone, but this is just a generalization. I think if you have to carry a gun and it has to, you want to carry it open like that, then you have a lot of fear inside of you, and not much trust on God.
and you know what, I wouldn't
So-
want to live in a community like that where you know
If
everybody
you can't
walk
trust,
around
right? If you
carrying
can't
a
trust the Lord's going to
gun.
protect you,
Right.
then because there might be someone, as it was in the Old West, someone just a tidbit quicker or more accurate than you.
Right. You know, one too many
I mean-
drinks, look the wrong way, say something out of the ordinary. You know, and
Right.
here's
You get in an argument,
Right.
you feel the guy's bigger than you, he moves you out of the way, you get upset, you think he had to, you hype it up too much. It just builds into that scenario of fear.
Yeah.
And that's the only problem I have.
and I could really understand this lady, her venting this morning like that because you know your kids are grown up. She says she has a son. She feared all this time for her son's life. He's 27 years old. Thank God he doesn't live there in Arkansas anymore. You know, and so if you're, you know, some people just can't up and move. You know, they're there.
But it's not just Arkansas. Like I said, that ball's all over.
Yeah, it's all over. But you know, still, again, who would want to live it every day?
Right, but don't you think? But don't you think too that it's a deterrent?
Yeah.
I mean,
I do think it's
you know,
a deterrent.
right. I mean, if
And that's
you're-
what I was trying to get to.
right. If you're a criminal-minded person and you go into the 7-Eleven
You see
and
somebody,
grandma and everybody got a pistol on their side,
you're not going to rob
you're
it.
gonna exactly. That's my point.
Unless you're
Right.
stupid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stupid ones.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, you're going to be like, oh, this is not the wrong store.
Right.
Okay.
You know.
So it lowers crime in one way, and
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the whole deal it's about to be a deterrent.
Right.
well, I'm glad,
But, can people be responsible? Not everyone's going to be a
and
responsible
that's
goal.
another thing. Then
Well,
the
yeah.
responsibility with that gun.
Yeah, but with a gun, isn't there some classes, some licensing,
Yes.
some things you have to do to show
Yes.
yourself to be responsible?
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And some things you have to say before, you shoot the person or whatever.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
To set the stage.
Okay. Well, yeah, it's something to be learned. And so I guess I would say with that, if you are interested in learning how to, before having a gun, know your rights with that gun.
Yeah.
Know how to use that gun for your own safety and protection. And of course, please put it away so it's not where your kids can get a hold to it. Because too many innocent lives children's lives
And
have
know,
been lost behind
how
that.
to, if you get stopped by traffic or whatever, to let the police officer know.
Yes.
Along with your driver's license, have your other license there as well, in clear view. And of course,
Because I had
10 to
saw
2.
something on, they were showing, and I don't know what state it was in, but this police officer stopped a woman and her boyfriend.
and that was in what, Minnesota?
That was just
Milwaukee?
recently.
Yeah, recently, yeah.
And she had a gun but didn't tell him.
No, he did. Well, he didn't have the gun in the car, but he was a gun license carrier.
Oh, and I believe that they had a gun.
No,
They
they
didn't
didn't
have a
have a
gun? Because the officer was
First,
upset.
they said they had a gun, and he had a gun, and they
Wait,
didn't.
now there might be a different story now.
Yeah, because I
No,
thought they
the
had.
the kid was in the car.
No, this was a husband and wife, a boyfriend and girlfriend were in the car, and she didn't tell him till afterwards that she had a gun, and he went off. He says, you have endangered me. You know, I asked you, and and he was reprimanding her. And she was standing
that's
there
something else. That's not
crying
the Philip
and
Castile.
promising,
Yeah, it's not Philip Castile, yeah.
saying that she was so sorry. She should have told him, and it was she was holding it. I guess it was her boyfriend's, and they just didn't know what to do. But see, that comes from not knowing the law. And he was like, tell her somebody could have somebody could have lost their life because you didn't say something.
Yeah. I have a story. I confiscated a gun from a young man many years ago. My ex-wife, her son had a gun. So I confiscated the gun, put it in my briefcase, and forgot all about it. So a buddy of mine wanted me to take him to court for a divorce hearing or something like that.
Oh,
and
my.
he was partially blind, so I said I'd take my briefcase in because I figured I'd read a Bible or a book or something, right?
Yeah.
I get into the county building, not the county, but the state building, I think it is, courthouse. And I put my briefcase in the conveyor belt.
Ooh,
Bling,
oh
bling,
my
bling,
goodness.
Bling, 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 bling. I'm like, I wonder what I got here. It's metal. Totally forgot about the gun. Oh my goodness. The next thing I knew, my hands were up. I was put up against the wall. I was handcuffed. And they took me down into the basement of the courthouse.
Oh Lord.
Into a jail cell and held me there. And the next thing I know, they transferred me from there. That's how I found there's an underground tunnel from all the courthouses to the county jail.
Okay.
Took me to the county
Yeah,
jail,
there
put
is.
me in holding. Come to find out that, one, the gun didn't work. Two, thank goodness there was no bullets in it.
Yeah.
But I had to go through that whole ordeal for carrying that gun, and they kept it. And I said, you know what, I'll never keep another gun in my life, and I haven't. To this day, I don't carry firearms. Because, that was just a scary moment.
Wow.
They could have, thank goodness the gun was in their possession and wasn't in my briefcase. I'm holding it.
Right.
And they started shooting at me, or
Right.
something,
Right.
because they had it and they saw it in there. And I guess they thought, I was trying to sneak a gun into the courthouse.
Oh my.
Well, it happens. So
Well, yeah,
they just
because so
fought
many
it.
people do it, or try to do it, but
You
just
forgot.
your case, you just forgot.
Just.
Hadn't
Hadn't
looked in there no more.
What's that? What's going on? Why is that going off like that?
Exactly.
I only got Bible in there. I got a couple of magazines, a book. Going through the list like papers.
What's causing that metal detector?
I don't know none of them, man.
But when I go through those things, I carry the bare minimum, some ID and whatever, some paperwork or whatever I need.
Right.
Pockets is empty, because I just don't want nothing binging off on me. And I tell them, because I have, my little
Pacemaker.
refrigerator, so I can't go through that. They have to wind me down and stuff. But I'm terrified, of that. Even going through the airport, because I go through there and they wind you down and they go all in your hair and stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah.
The things that you have to go through for safety.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, my daughter had brought to my attention that there was a health scare with Whoopi Goldberg that she caught. What is it? Let me see.
She hasn't been on the View for a while.
Yeah, she had pneumonia and was very close to death.
Wow.
Yes. So I guess she's doing pretty good, coming
good,
around.
good.
So I'm glad to, know that Whoopi is still here with us because I enjoy Whoopi. You know, she's been around for a long time with her
Whoopi.
crazy self.
Yeah.
So I'm glad Whoopi is still here with
So,
us.
what do you guys think about the Democrats' resolution against hate?
Well, tell us about it.
Well, I'll start it with the representative, I think, from Minnesota, who was from Somalia. Some of her comments, some people think it's anti-Semitic. And so her rebuttal, of course, is no, it is not. It's just asking why. And I think it was a
Why
good
what?
question.
I don't understand why. With hate against Jewish people?
No.
What?
So mainly her question was questioning AIPAC and its lobbying power, questioning how are they able to force certain things, that sometimes are not in the best interest of the United States. And what is a good question? Like pushing against the BDS movement, which is for the Palestinians to boycott those areas that they have taken over of Palestinian lands, which against the United Nations treaty is actually illegal. And so the BDS movement is saying, but don't buy any products from those areas, a boycott. So AIPAC pushed through Congress to get it that you can't boycott. Well, that's an American right to boycott.
Right.
Actually, the country started on a boycott.
Tea Party.
Yeah. So how can you outlaw a boycott?
Oh, interesting.
And I mean, and it was an interesting question she asked. I don't think it was being anti-Semitic. I think people took it that way. But if you look at the heart of her question, it was asking why this way and not allowing these people to have the same kind of voice. Since they're both Semitic people anyway, so how can you be anti-Semitic on either or?
Right. Interesting. I know, let me see, what is it? Something else is going on here in Cleveland. Cleveland Film Festival
Yeah.
Yes.
has started. So,
And there's a lot of young people in this area who put a lot of entries in.
yeah, so that'll be fun.
A lot of people in Cleveland State cast Western, young people, indie movies. So something to support the young people in our area.
Yeah,
Because I hear there's a lot of entries.
and there is so many good movies that are made that you never get to see.
Right.
Little short clippings and things like that. So, in Shaker Square, the Shaker Cinema is one of the places that they normally have a lot of the showings in downtown.
Yep.
What is it? The Gallery, not the Galleria, but Tower City.
City, right.
Tower City. Yeah, so that'll be a good place to go and start checking out some of these movies that
Awesome.
are coming out. So that's
Awesome.
good. And go ahead. You want to say
No,
something?
go ahead.
Oh,
Yes.
oh, and for our listeners out here, it's tax time, and everybody, all I can hear is my coworkers at work. I get so sick of here. I'm calling the IRS.
Why are they calling the IRS?
You ain't gonna get your money until they
A lot
get
of people
ready
are
to
not getting as
send it
much
to you.
as they usually used to get. So,
But it's just that their phone lines they probably should just have a button where they probably hit and just stay busy all the time
Right.
because this is all day from soon as the switch come on 8:00 a.m. Phone lines are busy because they're just bombarded with all these calls.
I think they should just go back to a flat tax. So,
Really? Now, what's the difference in that?
is the difference?
Huh?
Everybody's taxed the same. So it's 20% of your income. Well, if you make $10 a year, it'll be 20% of that, 20 cents
Oh, okay. So everybody get treated equally.
across the board.
Yeah, but
Government knows exactly how much it's getting in and how much it can spend.
well, that may not still solve any
And
issues.
it will solve the issue.
People are still gonna overspend and
That's on it. It's a flat tax. There's no returns.
no returns.
No. There's no loopholes.
You mean no credit for the kiddies and none of that?
None of that.
None of
Ooh-wee.
that. Ooh, that's real strict. That's hard.
That's not hard.
John.
Flat 20%
Well, you know what?
or 36%.
John.
But okay, so But if you pay more than your 20%, then you got a refund coming.
Of course.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you were just kind of like talking, saying that you get no refund, you get their proper
Now you just your
taxes
20%.
that are
So
coming
if
out.
it's for people who are like, I guess the only people who will have to put in the form to me are people who are like entrepreneurs or things like that.
Okay.
Subcontractors, self-employed. Everybody else, it should be coming directly out of your check, and you get credit for your 20%. So you don't have to do any paperwork or anything like that.
Well, you remember to save that thought, because next Sunday we're going to have James Oliver, our tax man, will be here. So be ready, get your questions and things together, because he'll be back giving out some very good information as always. You still have time. Is there an extra day this year, or is it actually going to be the
they
15th?
extended it or something. I
Because
remember
I know
that
last year it
waiting.
went like 2 days more or something. When is April 15th? Because I always do mine at the last minute, because I don't get nothing
Monday.
back.
It's either
Oh, it's on a
Monday.
Monday. Yeah, so I
Right
would think
after
it
Palms, is that Palm Sunday?
was,
The 14th?
The 14th, yeah. So, the 15th. So they probably will not give no extra days out.
Yeah, they did do an extension.
Did they do an
Yeah,
extension?
I remember seeing it somewhere. They did. Yeah.
Yeah,
So what are you getting till the 16th?
I think so.
Okay,
I
one
know it
more
was an
day.
extension
Yeah, I think it has something to do
because
with.
they were behind and
I
all
think the
that.
government was closed, and so.
Oh,
they
for the shutdown to
shut
make
down,
up for
yeah,
that.
right.
Okay, yeah. So everything worked out. People are back to work, and that's a good thing. And was this a sad thing that the outside contractors are not going to get any back
Any
pay
back
money?
pay, yeah,
you
they
know?
don't.
That's
So,
terrible.
Yeah, that's sad. Because those folks had to go is without, just like the rest of them did.
It's come down who you vote for.
Yeah, well, that's why it's important to go out there and do that thing. Does it really count? Do your vote really count? Do you believe that your vote
It
counts?
No,
And I want you to tell
not unless you're part of the electoral college.
uh,
Then
That
your
is
vote
for
counts.
president.
Oh, you're talking about for senators and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Sure, your vote counts. Yeah, absolutely.
okay.
Absolutely.
All right, so hey, what about 45?
My favorite president. Go ahead.
They've been talking
Yeah.
about him this morning and bringing him to trial, and it wouldn't be in his best interest to come to trial for many reasons, because he's just such a big liar, and he contradicts himself, and then with the different accounts he'd have.
You mean
I mean,
impeachment or trial?
Yeah,
What do you mean?
impeachment. You think they're
Well, he
actually,
can't get away from the impeachment. He can't say, I'm not going to come to an impeachment. Impeachment happens whether he's there or not.
okay, and
That is Congress using their power to kick you out.
and they're still going back and forth with this Russia thing.
Distractions.
I mean, there's no back and forth. I mean, Mueller's going to be finished. Wherever he comes out, comes out. You also have probably what I think he should be worried about more or less is the Southern District of New York,
Right.
because they
They just don't like them.
well, the Southern District also is one of the roughest districts in this country, and they have a high conviction rate,
Oh, okay.
especially against like money fraud issues.
Okay.
Thanks, Bertie Madoff.
Hence,
Yeah.
and Milken and all the rest of them.
Right.
But also, the district who took down John Gotti, the Gambino family,
Right.
They're very rough. So,
Yeah. I watched that.
but I mean, I think it's not in his interest, me personally, because he is president and it's the office. So I don't think nothing's going to happen while he's in office. One, the Democrats do not like Pence, so they're not going to push an impeachment. They'll threaten an impeachment. And so they'll wait to see what happened in 2020 with the primaries. If he survives the Republican primaries, then you might see impeachment. But if he doesn't survive, you see indictment. And it'll happen after, the first.
Do you think he's going to get back in there again, Larry?
Yeah.
That's his only way to get in. I don't think he will.
Why do you think he will?
because he's going to do something so amazing.
He's not going to do anything amazing.
He's going to do something so amazing. People are going to look and say, you know what, America is great again.
Well, right.
We're gonna keep him in for another term.
Well,
No,
I'm very curious.
he'll be
to
impeached if that happens.
what that's going to be, because right now America, the way they're telling, the way the news is telling it,
They did. Go ahead. I want to say
that
something.
we're just one of the worst. We're the worst country. America is not the way it used to be, and
That's
we're no good
You know, let me say something.
because of our president.
The other day,
No, that's
the
about
other
our
day,
influence
the
in the
other
world.
day, I called a customer service for Spectrum and Time Warner,
Okay.
and every time I called in with my issue, I got a wonderful Americanized voice, someone here in this country.
Okay.
So I was talking to a buddy of mine who works for Spectrum, and he said, "Well, you know that the CEO of Spectrum met with the President of the United States, and one of the things that he promised was he's going to bring those jobs. He brought those jobs back into the United States. And see, what we're missing is a lot of jobs have been brought back to
Okay.
the United States, where before a lot of those jobs were overseas. And
But it's not that many. It's not what
Yeah.
the president of Spectrum, by the way,
go ahead,
and it's Time Warner now taken over by AT&T. Those-
Spectrum's not taken over by AT&T,
Well, Time Warner owns Spectrum,
right?
and AT&T now owns Time Warner.
Get out of here.
So those jobs will be going back where they were.
When did AT&T buy?
They
Time
been did it, but the government been trying to block it, and they finally lost their third final lawsuit.
I have to look that one up
So-
because AT&T service is terrible.
Well, AT&T
Oh,
just
I
took
was
over
just on
Time
the
Warner.
phone with AT&T yesterday.
Okay.
And of course, speaking of another nationality, when I called in for customer service, okay, so I've got someone probably here locally, but then when I went to
They go somewhere
sales,
else.
it was outsourced.
Yeah.
And there was nothing that he could do for me. I says, I've been with you forever, and I'm looking for a lower monthly cell phone bill.
Yeah.
And there was nothing that he could do but try to upsell me.
Yeah.
One, give me a free phone, which will eventually cost me $5 a month.
So it's not free.
It's not free, and but does nothing for my cell phone bill. That's not what I wanted. And so I says, well, you leave me no other option but to go and shop around.
Right.
Because why
That's what you
give
should have said
you
at the
all
beginning.
$100 almost a month, and I can go to
Get some of their special deals for new people who come in.
right. And he says they don't have any specials.
They have special.
They have no
I just-
specials. And I says, because I don't have anything else with them,
Mm-hmm.
I get my job discount that we have, but that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't have when I was living in my apartment, I couldn't get anything else from them. I tried to have
The universe.
their internet service, and I went
Universe.
with that for a while, and in some months it worked, and some months it didn't. And then finally I got a tech to come out. He says, "I am so sorry. They should have never hooked this up for you, because the way the system is ran, your hookup is over on South Woodland somewhere, and the way the apartments and things are made, we can't
Yeah,
provide
some
good
apartments
service."
are Cox or whatever, like mine. It took a while.
So I had been paying all that time, and I had to go to the top to regain some of my money back.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, what we got to understand, this is a global economy now. And there's no way you're going to, that old cliche, make America great. Well, we are already great to me. But we also have to understand we're not going to be the number one superpower. And that change is happening. It's happening, and there's no way you're going to stop it. And that's just the way the world moves. It's history. I mean, China was the number one superpower for most of the world's history.
So who is
Then
number one now?
they fell, and Great Britain was the number one. And then Great Britain fell, and the United States became the number one. And now history is repeating itself, and China is becoming number one again. I mean, and it's 1.5 billion people. There's no way for a businessman, 1.5 billion and 350 million, who you're going to make the most money. It's not. It's arithmetic. It's math.
Well,
Simple facts.
It's real interesting to see.
And that's
all the-
including India, another 1.1 billion people. Then you're talking about Indonesia, another 2 or 1.5 billion people. I think India's 1.2. So you got 3 of the world's most populous countries all in one area. The majority of trade is made in that area that pays for our jobs here.
Interesting, yeah. And they can pay them much less than what the jobs are here when they outsource like that.
Exactly,
You know.
because it's so many people. They have the supply. As simple as that. Making the same product here in the United States would cost too much. And then you got to think too, they're closer to those minerals, like for our TVs and stuff like that we need, the special minerals.
And well, fabric, clothing, and things, a lot of that has always been outsourced to
Well,
other countries.
Well, the material, the resources were there. So you bring your chain closer. This would make blockchain, I think one of the big things about blockchain is that you can track everything.
Yeah, I love blockchain.
But there's, for instance, like the tariffs. The Chinese were not scared of the tariffs. In fact, they wanted him to even do the whole 500. And why? Why is it? Because Xi wants his people not to be savers anymore. He wants them to be consumers. He wants them to buy, but he wants them to buy Chinese. So he's trying to force his own population to change their thought so they can become really the largest consumers. Because right now we're doing this. And one of the great things I think happened, and it started with Obama and it finally happened under Trump, was raising the minimum wage. That now it needs to be federal. What it really needs to be is it needs to be around $27. And if it does that, then it'll take China maybe 5, 6, 7, 10 years to catch up. Because all they needed to get their people at a middle class income was to get them to $10 to $11 an hour, and they're already there. So, which is already pushing, making them, buy more. I mean, bigger consumers more than we are, but they're still saving too much, and that's why the tariffs was actually helping them. And then it was hurting us, the American consumer, because we actually paid for their tariffs, and it was hurting the farmers as well because they brought the prices down on their soybean. That's why China never stopped buying soybeans from us. They did. They continued to buy it. But they were getting it at such a discount because of the tariffs.
We were giving them such a great
Well,
deal.
they put it in tariffs, and then they will say to the farmer, well, you have to pay that tariff. So the farmer is not making any money. So he got that $12 billion handout, but that $12 billion handout didn't really cover all what the soybean farmers were losing. Storage, fields you had to plow under.
Materials, everything just to keep
Work,
it going.
gas, right.
Yeah, labor. Yeah.
So I don't know if he made America great again. He sure did increase our deficit.
Well,
22 trillion.
Well, it would
So,
be good to see us
Let's
really
see.
spend money in our, spend money among ourselves.
Yeah, and I think I do agree with him, and I thought one of the best things that would have been the great thing for him to do, that no matter what his advisors said, to make some kind of deal and make a treaty and end the Korean War. That would have got him over the top.
Yeah, but he wouldn't make a good deal.
What's the good deal? Well, we've been at war for over 70 years.
Well,
So the good deal is they're not giving up their nuclear weapons. Fine and good. Now, you got a horde of special minerals. I want my companies to have the first bid, the first chance in there. That way we would be wean ourselves off of China.
well, right.
And can also North Korea a different way than the Chinese model.
So we could create that model, is what you're saying. We could dictate this is how we do business.
Right.
Get
and
back
get in there
into control again.
and give him a way to get room from Russia and China, especially China.
Yeah.
Which, the Korean Peninsula is not all Korea. China never gave back the northern part of Korea. The real northern part of Korea, they never gave it back to the North Koreans. They kept it after the Korean War.
Very interesting. Well,
So they're not so buddy with the Chinese as you think.
Well, right, because the Chinese has agreed with the different boycotts and things. They're not giving them.
Well, they are under the slide, but China has always dictated to the Koreans. Before the Japanese, under the empire, they were pretty much dominated by the Chinese. And by this isolation is keeping that domination on it. And both sides. I mean, even South Korea. The Chinese don't want to buy from them, things fall apart.
wow. Well, that's what's going on here today. Well, I tell you what. Tune in.
So 45 is doing great things. I want to take
45
that.
is
He
doing
actually
great
is doing some good
things.
things.
This is very
I
challenging.
have to go back to one of the.
Did you
old
record
recordings.
that?
I have,
Right.
yes, this recording.
Because I can remember when we first started over here
Oh, my
months
goodness,
ago.
the airport. Oh,
you
my
guys
goodness.
didn't see eye to eye about 45.
I think he's doing some good things. I think a lot of his advisors are keeping him away from doing what he should.
What he should be doing.
Yeah.
All right.
Like
well,
moving out of Afghanistan. That's a good thing.
Well, we're going to keep our
That's it.
eyes and ears on 45 and see what the next move is going to be. If there be another wall coming up or another wall going down. All right. So thank you for tuning in with what's going on with Lady D and the Sir John Show. We will be back here next Sunday. Tune
And I
in
will
with
be
us.
on time for now and forever. I'm
All
making a
right. We're
commitment
going to
here.
hold you to that.
I'm making a commitment.
And Mr. James Oliver, our tax man, will be here next Sunday. So get your questions. We will open up the phone lines. So if you have questions, you can call in. All right? I want everybody to have a wonderful week and do some good for
Blessed
yourself and do some good for someone else. All right?
Be grateful.
And John, what do you got to tell them?
And we are
This
the home of the what?
25-cent advertisement. Don't
All
y'all
right.
forget it.
All right? Okay.
All right.
Cool.
Yeah, I had to admit he did
See
some
you
good
guys
things.
next week.
Next week.
I had to admit he did some good things.